Police forces are failing to tackle modern slavery and human trafficking because the cases are too difficult and senior officers believe the public lacks sympathy for the victims. A highly critical report has found victims are not always identified and investigations are closed prematurely. The report by Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Services said failings in the approach left victims exposed and allowed perpetrators to continue to exploit the vulnerable. It added, in one case the Inspectorate was told, "The public view is they are not our girls." Wendy Williams, the Inspector of Constabulary, said, "While modern slavery cases can be complex and require significant manpower, many of the shortcomings in investigating these cases reflect deficiencies in basic policing practice. We found inconsistent, even ineffective, identification of victims and investigations closed prematurely. As a result, victims were being left unprotected, leaving perpetrators free to continue to exploit people as commodities." Quick guide: Modern day slavery show. What is modern day slavery? About 150 years after most countries banned slavery, Brazil was the last to abolish its participation in the transatlantic slave trade in 1888. Millions of men, women and children are still enslaved. Contemporary slavery takes many forms, from women forced into prostitution, to child slavery in agriculture supply chains, or whole families working for nothing to pay off generational debts. Slavery thrives on every continent and in almost every country. Forced labor, people trafficking, debt bondage and child marriage are all forms of modern-day slavery that affect the world's most vulnerable people. How many people are enslaved across the world? The UN's International Labour Organization ILO estimates that about 21 million people are in forced labor at any point in time. The ILO says this estimate includes trafficking and other forms of modern slavery. They calculate that 90% of the 21 million are exploited by individuals or companies, while 10% are forced to work by the state, rebel military groups, or in prisons under conditions that violate ILO standards. Sexual exploitation accounts for 22% of slaves.